Hola. How are y'all doing? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Becky Brown Girl Show. Hey, Sharon. I see I have a request to join already. So let me just do my intro first and then I will start adding folks. But welcome to the Becky Brown Girl Show. I'm your host, and I appreciate you joining me this Wednesday evening to talk about the good, bad, and ugly of dating in the age of social media. So obviously people use social media for a variety of reasons. Connecting with family and friends, old friends, creating new friendships, for their business, to promote, their products and services. People get their news, and other information from the different platforms. And people also connect romantically, on these apps. Although there are apps specifically for dating, like Tinder and Hinge and, et cetera and so forth, people also connect like that on these other platforms like, Facebook, IG. I don't know if they do that on TikTok, but probably. And so I kind of want to talk about it broadly and how, dating has changed since back in the olden days. And, so it has its benefits, as well as its drawbacks and some ugly sides as well. And so hopefully you guys will, I'm not acting serious. Hopefully you guys will join in the conversation with me as well. So I'm not just listening to myself talk, but, aw, thank you, Stan. He said nothing can be as broad as your impeccable smile. That's so sweet. Anyway, so to start with, let's focus on the good, because the reason that I even wanted to talk about this topic, which I know is like constantly discussed on podcasts and what have you, it's something that I had actually been thinking about. And then this whole list controversy, has been a trending topic. And I know y'all want to talk about trending topics, but I feel like people have discussed that to death at this point. My personal take on it is that I think it's pretty ludicrous. Now, having said that, there are definitely some things on that list that are a no for me, like a first date at somebody's house. That's a no. Yeah, no. So I can definitely attest that I think it was a bit OD, right? And yeah, y'all be like, well, that's why y'all single now. But then the men came back, being facetious with some equally, in fact, not equally, more ridiculous list, of women that they refused to date, in response to the list that it was some young girl that made it. But anyway, look, everyone has their preferences, which is cool. But I think the more seasoned you get in the long in the tooth and all that, I definitely think that you have to be a little bit more flexible in some of the things that are sort of your like deal breakers, or I don't know, you might be missing out on your future husband, or I don't know, but it was OD. Anyway, I don't want to go off on a tangent on that. I'm sure somebody else will want to talk about it, assuming someone's going to come on here with me. But I want to focus on the good aspects first, right? Because there's so much, we're going to get to that, Dave, but I don't really see what's wrong with the Cheesecake Factory, but that's just me. I don't know. Anyway, so where was I? Oh, talking about The good aspects of online dating. So I think the good part of it is that it expands your universe of available, well, potentially available options. Because you wouldn't normally connect with these people unless they're, in your immediate geographic vicinity, right? So, I mean, you're exposed to people from all over, depending on who you interact with online. And which is cool, but that also requires that someone is willing to travel potentially, if you connect with them. And I find, I'm just going to digress for a second on that point, that, sometimes you might meet people from out of town and they love to hit you with the, well, when you going to be in so-and-so, like next time you're in my city. What? The next time I'm in your city will probably be for another reason, not to see you. So if you want me to come and see you in your city, sir, then you need to make a plan and an effort, right? It can't just be on some, unless you're not that interested, which is also fine. But if you're being intentional, then you need to, be a man with a plan. That's just as far as I'm concerned. But I digress because we're talking about the good parts. It expands your universe of available options potentially. And wait, there was something else good that I thought about. Well, where do you live, Stan? Let me see. I'm sorry. Now, remember, I'm here by myself, so the comments are going quickly, so I'm gonna have to come back to them in a little bit. But one of the other things I think that is good. Hold on one second. Hold on. Oh, so also it can help you establish a rapport with someone in advance that's not just based on something physical necessarily. Like, especially if you're not in close proximity where you can necessarily see them. So if they're intentional, then they can take the time to get to know you on a more substantive level than beyond what they see. Now, of course, if that's all their goal is, then their effort is going to reflect that. In which case it's up to you to decide if that's somebody that you want to entertain or not. On the not so good side, I think speaking of available options, I think that it gives people a false perception that they have more options available to them than they really do. And so they're not willing to invest their time and attention and energy in like one person. They want to keep a rotation and a roster, which is fine if you want to date casually. But if you're looking for something intentional, I think at a certain point, you gotta narrow your list down. And if you're always looking for the next best thing or thinking that something is better because you're never gonna find perfection and every quality you want in one person, then you're never gonna be satisfied. And you're always gonna feel like, well, I can get somebody that looks better. I can get somebody with more money. I could get somebody maybe that's closer. I could get somebody that's richer, or whatever it is that is a priority to you. So yeah, so that's one of the bad things. Also, I think authenticity is not necessarily, doesn't reign across social media. Like you'll find that, in different people that you might follow, but, a lot of what you're seeing is like the highlight reel of people's lives. So if you're only seeing the best of someone, then it might be giving you a false perception of who they really are. Or you might look at other people's relationships because they're posting, they're going on trips and whatever it is that they're doing, which is wonderful. I think people should like should post like the good things that are happening in their life, but I think if you're sort of in the phase where you're struggling to find a connection with somebody, watching what these other people are doing and using that as a barometer of what should be happening in your own relationships and life, then you feel inadequate. And you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes in their relationship. So you can't look at somebody else as couple goals unless you know them personally. And still, I think you should just focus on trying to connect with, your own person in reality. But again, I know that this is kind of the wave and how a lot of people tend to meet nowadays. So, and so then as far as like what's ugly about online dating, I would say is like catfishing. I don't know if anyone has ever had a catfish experience, but like where somebody is not the person that they presented themselves to be at all. But anyone, let me see what y'all are talking about in the comments. And then I'd like to see who will join me. Jenna, I see you've sent me a request, so just bear with me a second. Okay. Somebody asked, well, Stan, I don't know where you are, but maybe we can talk about that. So Michael Shine official, were you talking about the list, the women's list or the men's list? Because you said some things on there made sense, and I'm assuming that y'all have also seen the men's list, which was ridiculous. Not because it was a men's list, but just because, it basically excluded every woman. Who pays for the first date? Well, a lot of people would say it depends on who asks. I feel like the man should pay. That's just, but I'm older. And I grew up in an era when that was still the case. And because it's rare, like I can't think of a time that I asked a man out on a date that I wasn't already dating. That's a different story. I'm not saying the man always has to pay, but for the first date, I feel like he should pay. That's just my personal opinion. So I think somebody else asked me that as well. The one who's going to take the lead. How about that? Yes, who is going to pay is the person who should take the lead. Why do I feel like that? Okay. So I was like pretty opposed to the idea of these ice cream, coffee, like going to the park dates. Because I'm like, well, why can't you just talk on the phone and decide if you feel like the person is worth spending time with? I'm not saying that means that you have to spend a certain amount of money on a first date. I am saying that if you took the time to get to know them a little bit beforehand, maybe you would decide if it was even worth your time to spend any money on them. I might be softening on that position a little bit. Just a little bit, though. I will say, though, that I appreciate a man who is creative and puts in effort. Like, going out to dinner, yeah, of course, I'm probably going to be hungry. I want to eat. But that doesn't have to be like the first date. Like, I think on that list, somebody had the gym as a first date. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. But you probably, we've got to eat something. It doesn't have to be something fancy, but I would actually appreciate that as a date. I would appreciate that as a date. I also would appreciate a sporting event as a date, and that's not an inexpensive date either. So, if you're not into sports, okay, I get that. But you know what? I just lost my train of thought. Sorry. This is why I need somebody else on here, so I'm not just talking to myself. But as far as like, I feel like a lot of these same guys that want to have debates about like going half on everything and all of that, which again, I try to avoid some of those conversations because they're so overdone and people need to do what works for them in their relationship. Um, because them same guys want to be king of the castle and leading. Look, the more we're splitting, the more the decision making is going to be split too. At least that's my take on it. Somebody else, some other women may feel differently. I see a few women on here. I don't know if they're willing to join. What? I'm coming through. What's happening in Dirty December? Where am I from? I'm originally from Philly, but I live in Jersey now. And look, they can do whatever they want to do, but that don't mean, that I'm interested. I'm just saying. So, Jenna. So I'm gonna go ahead and add you. Roderick, you should join because I know you probably got a lot of opinions on this. Or Sharon, I know you're married. Like, men pay for the first date and every date. Inglewood, Chicago. Okay. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Nah, I really don't feel like you have to pay for every date, but 99% of the time the man, but the vibe seems mutually shot during the date and both know there is no future date. Oh, you know what? Another thing I wanted to say about dating in general, and I think it's highlighted on social media a lot, is the level of audacity and entitlement between both sexes. So the other thing is I didn't want to make this a battle of the sexes. Like, I really don't. I'm sharing my opinion. I'm going to add Jenna in a minute so she can share hers. Hopefully other people will come on and share their opinion as well. But I feel like there's audacity on both sides. I saw a reel recently where the guy was, he's like a counselor or something, talking to a woman about the type of man she's looking for and what she feels like she deserves. Now, everyone should have standards. I have standards of my own, and I think that everyone should have some kind of dating standards. But you can't be inflexible about everything. Like, you're not going to find perfection in one person. You're just not. So you have to prioritize what's most important to you. That's what my mama had said. And some of those things you might have to, relax on a little bit. As we age, like, it's harder to find. Because a lot of people are, married. Married. Oh, that's another thing about online dating is these married dudes. But we gonna leave y'all alone for the moment. Anyway, I think that sometimes people's the guy was saying that you deserve what you're willing to work toward yourself. So, like, if, say, a woman comes, saying, well, I feel like I deserve, a rich man, or it's usually money, right? Or I don't know. But it's not about what is she bringing to the table. There has to be some reciprocity between them. I don't think that she necessarily has to match the amount of money that he earns. I think that they have to complement one another in different ways. But however he framed it, because now I'm forgetting exactly what the quote was, but I was like, you know what, that does kind of make sense though. And I feel like a lot of people, as I said, have a lot of expectations of what they deserve. But why? Why do you deserve that? Like, because you exist? Or what? Anyway, so You had a virtual first date. Okay, well maybe you might come on here and tell me about that. Um, okay, so I'm gonna add Roderick. So I have a man and a woman's perspective. Or I'm trying anyway. You know what? Let me oh, okay.
I'm in the
Hi. Hello.
gym, so I'm in the car.
Hi. Introduce yourself to the people. Tell them where you're from.
Pink, Baltimore. Um, yeah, that's about it. Most of y'all
So
working out and stuff like that, but yeah,
yes, I'm one of my fit bays. So
yeah.
um so Pink, what is your take on what's your take on social media dating in general, the landscape, and anything else that you want to share?
So I do feel like, well, newly single. Um, I do feel like social media gives, I think you mentioned this, gives a false I think it's a FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yep.
I think a lot of people aren't in relationships because of FOMO, because they fear like something else better is out there,
Yep.
or they can get better.
Yep.
Like that people put this false, persona out there. We only get snippets of people's life. We get the good stuff. We're not getting all the bad stuff. So a lot of people like, well, I don't like this list that this girl has. So I'm gonna go out here with this girl showing all her 100%, and that might be what I can get. So I think it gives a false sense of what's out here.
Yep.
Um, Dating scares the shit out of me. Like it really, really does, because of that FOMO. Because I do feel like men just don't want to settle down right now. I don't, no matter the age. Don't no, I just don't think so.
I've seen men say, well, okay, I don't like to generalize. I have seen some men say that there's no benefit in marriage for a man, which I think is ridiculous. I think I know I've seen statistics that say they live longer. There's somebody that actually cares about your funky ass, uh, taking care of your funky ass. Um, and not that they can't be self-sufficient, but I I don't know, because then I think to myself, well, okay, are you relying on your kids to take care of you when you're old and infirm, or you think some young girl is gonna want to take care of you when you
Yep.
old
Yep.
with saggy balls? uh, I don't care how much Viagra you take, sir. um like when you old and sickly, they're not gonna want to take care of you. The people that were okay, now our wives make and help us live longer. Exactly. Um, so yeah, but
Yeah.
I, you know,
Yeah. I was married for 5 years, and I admit, like, my part in that. I admit that I did, see this list of things that I dislike, and was like, well, what if there is someone out there better? I do feel like social media and dating now gives you hope too, of maybe there is someone out there that can give me at least that 80% that I'm looking for. So I think you're more willing to be like, let me take a chance and go out there and do XYZ.
so have you tried online dating yet, or no?
So
No.
yes, I did. And let me tell you, I lasted not even 24 hours. It's so overwhelming, the amount of uh what you call them, inboxes. I don't even know what you call. See, I don't even know what you call these things, but it was so overwhelming. I do like that you can reach different cultures, different demographics. I do like that part of it,
Hmm.
but it's so overwhelming. It's just a lot.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because um I saw a meme that a guy had posted, and again, it's, just funny stuff you see on social media, so take it for what it's worth. But he was talking about how his girlfriend was getting on his nerves. And I mean, look, it's inevitable in any relationship, right? Girlfriend was getting on his nerves. Um, for whatever reason, he decided to make a Tinder profile using her picture, like to present as if he was her. And or I don't know if they had agreed to do that. But she got like a flood of, of DMs and responses. And I think he had created one for himself too. And, you know, nowhere near the same response. So it definitely humbled him and made him feel like, you know what, maybe I need to appreciate what I got. Exactly, sir.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I don't think that you should stay in situations and relationships that don't serve you, that you're not happy in, but people don't even want to put in any effort anymore. Like as soon as one thing goes wrong, they're ready to dead something. And I'm like, do y'all understand how hard it is to find somebody that you have like fundamental compatibility with at this point in our lives, because people are so set in their ways.
Yeah. Yep. I
um
1000%.
and again, it's like, okay, so the available pool of people you meet online are married. Um, so hence they're not really
Yep.
available.
Yep.
Um, or they, they might not necessarily play for this team, or um, or whatever the case. That it's that again, people are presenting themselves as though they're available, so it seems like it, or they don't want anything serious.
Right. Right.
Because again, why would they tie themselves down? Because there's so many,
So many
you
options.
know, it's like a
Yeah.
playground of options. But I'm like, some men might have those kinds of options, but that like average dudes, okay, sir,
Yeah.
you think you have those options, but come on, let's be serious now.
And I don't. And when I was younger, I used to get them left and right. So I was thinking coming back single, it was gonna be. I was like, oh, this gonna be easy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I work out. I feel like I keep myself up, but I'm telling you, girl, like I'm like, where they at? Like I it just don't come like that. So being single is not what it used to be. And like you said,
No.
it's just everybody is just I don't know. I don't know what to call it.
Like I said, I think that okay, hold on. Y'all are saying a lot in the comments. Let me just go to the comments for a second. So okay, so one person said, "What's the benefits of marriage?" That's Jay Swan, and Illuminati responded to that, and or he just gave his own take on it. Um,
I
okay, thorough.
definitely
I'm sorry.
80-20 rule. That's what I was talking about
Yeah,
when I said 80%.
yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
Well, another thing that has been suggested is, like, speaking of expanding your pool of options, is, not to focus on the physical attraction. I'm like,
You
but
have to be like that's what had to be pushed back at the back of the line. Before, you we visual. So I want what I want to go for what I like, what I see. I don't know your insides yet, so I want to, be attracted to you.
have to be. I mean, okay, I
And,
do have to be. I have to be attracted to you. I'm not saying you got to be, Aldous or Idris
right.
or one of them, but
And I'm like, you got a good job. Okay, like like
but I still have to be like physically attracted to you. Something about you I have to be physically attracted to.
yeah,
I,
that's the
I
same.
have to. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because as I was saying to somebody recently, like, look, if I, give somebody that I'm not particularly attracted to a chance, and like, and then we get together and then he starts feeling himself and acting like, he looked better than he looked now, you know now I'm gonna start talking
Right.
crazy to you when we start fighting or
Right.
whatever. You want to get fly with me, you know? Mm-mm. That's the first thing I'm going for, and that's not right. That's not
Yeah.
nice.
Like now, like
But
you
I know
said,
myself, so
same. And at this age, I'm not willing to, and not sounding like this person got to have all these, things, but I'm not willing to sacrifice things I want at this age, because at this age, I want somebody that I can live with, that I can, possibly die with. I don't want to keep sacrificing things that I want, you know.
I know I agree with that too. I also don't feel like it should be about like men love to, oh, you gonna die alone, you gonna be a cat lady. Like they love to scare you into just accepting
Yeah.
bullshit. Like ultimately, how you treat me is gonna matter above anything
Yeah.
else. Like, yes, I want to be physically attracted, but at this point, it's not necessarily the first thing on my list. Like again, I have to be attracted to something about you, but your personality, your intellect, your sense of humor, your ambition, like your loyalty, like are you family oriented? Like those are the kinds of things that would matter to me
Mm-hmm.
more. Um, you,
Mm-hmm.
are you financially secure, stable? Um, like those are the kinds of things that are more important than just who we find. Like obviously, that was what mattered to me when I was
Right.
20, right? Um,
This is relative
right,
to that person.
right, of
Yeah.
course, but
Somebody mentioned in the comments, like, what is he, facially unattractive but physically attractive? So somebody could be attractive to Stacy and not attractive, not attractive to me. So
yeah,
that's relative. So
yeah, it's all relative.
right.
It's all relative.
So we're not saying like he got to be like Stacey said, this model, but he
No,
got to be attractive to me.
exactly, exactly. I tried to add a man, D. Williams. I don't know. Wait, let me see if. Wait, and how is facially unattractive but still physically attractive? I don't even understand how that works. I know that men can be attracted to a body even if
Right.
the face is, looks however, but
Yeah.
mm, 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 what I define it, I don't, whatever. Anyway, um, Roderick, can you join now? Because, um, well, D. Williams, do you want to join? I know I did want to have a man on. I mean, I'm not trying to beat up on the men's. um, Let me see if I can add him now. Okay, I'm adding him now, or I'm trying. Ah, okay, there he is. Hi,
Hey.
Hey,
how are
what's
you?
up with y'all?
My
I,
Baltimore crew.
I mean, like Pink just said, I guess it's a matter of opinion when it comes. That's why I say facially unattractive but physically attractive, and I guess aesthetics go a long way when it comes to looks. Because what you may find attractive, Pink may find, no, he's fair. You know what I'm saying? But I think that when it comes to meeting people, I think most men and women, we have a list this big, but we present something this big. You know what I'm saying? We have hella expectations of other people, but a lot of times we're not the presenters of what we're looking for.
What do you
And
mean? And like, what do you?
I mean, just anything, because when you meet people, I think men and women, because I don't really want to I don't want to be sexist in my comment, but when men and we all have all these demands, but are we what we want? And 9 times out of 10, sometimes we aren't, men and women. I guess in the first, let's just say 30 days, 40 days, you know what I mean? That's the good lies and the boisterous talk, you know what I'm saying, on both ends, you know what I'm saying? Some motherfuckers gonna lie like a motherfucker for about a month just to bait you in, you know what I'm saying? And then
Oh,
They,
at
they,
this
they,
age,
they, that's the live stage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always say this: if you at a bar and you talking to somebody or a restaurant, you meeting a person, 70% of the conversation is truth, but the other 30% is bullshit and
but you
lies,
think
just to bring you
at
there,
this
huh?
still like that? You think?
Yeah, I mean
What?
because everybody it's like most motherfuckers want instant gratification. Most motherfuckers want to say what they need to say to get you to come their way, whether it's a woman or a man. Age doesn't have a limit on bullshit. Men
I
bullshit and women
concur.
bullshit.
No,
I mean,
but you know what though? What another girlfriend of mine had made a good point to me because um I would I would say that like words of affirmation is one of my love languages. Well, that's what I thought,
Hmm.
right? But when I would see or hear a lot of, things that sounded nice, and then I like the way they look, I might fall for the okey doke. But now I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. What are you doing? Do your words and actions align? And 9 out of 10, they do not.
mhm.
And I can discern that relatively quickly, and I get turned off. I posted in my last post a meme that said 35 to 50 women, 3 to 5 business days max before I stop responding if you want some bullshit. And I mean it.
I always say that men
Like,
are
I
attracted
mean
to what
it.
they see. Women are attracted to what they hear. Human beings are attracted to sight and sound. You know what I'm saying? I always say that, but like I said, I think social media in some portions have took the fun out of dating. You know what I'm saying? Have
Oh,
took the fun out of dating. I mean, I don't think I think dating is a part of building a friendship with a woman. My mother always told me that when I was younger. You have to build a friendship with a person that you meet. So when you building a friendship with a man or a woman, it allows you to see a lot of their imperfections, their perfections, their strong points, their weak points. It allows you to see everything, and it gives you a choice to say, you know what, I'm gonna take it to the next level with this person, or nah, this person is not cool, because you could be the sexiest person or the finest man in the world, and you don't even know how to pay bills. So you truly get to know a motherfucker once you get to living with him. Okay, you like to pay the bills on the first. This motherfucker like to pay it on the fifth. You know what I'm saying?
But you
So
wouldn't be living with
no,
somebody that
no,
you're,
no, 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 no. I'm not saying. I'm saying that's later on in it. But
yeah.
like I said, building a friendship with a person, you get to learn their spending habit. You learn a lot about them. You feel what I'm saying? And I think building a friendship with a person, that's a part of dating. But a lot of men and women, they take the fun out of the shit. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody have these grand expectations. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's supposed to have expectations, but people, their expectations be too grand. And a lot of them they do shit. A lot of people break their own hearts, men and women.
Um, you know what? Like I said, I think that, like you said, expectations are fine. Standards are fine. But do you live in the real world?
Yeah, I definitely live in a
Not
real world. Like I said,
you. That
no,
was a rhetorical
but no,
question.
but I'm answering it. Like, I live in the real world. See, I'm the type of person, like, I never looked for a woman. I always let shit come to me. You know what I'm saying? Or if I was interested in somebody, of course I'm gonna say something to them. But as far as pursuing, oh, I need a woman, or nah, I just always let things pretty much happen the way it's supposed to happen naturally. You know what I'm saying? I never set a course or a journey to look for a woman.
I definitely don't think that you should force anything.
Yeah.
Like, never force it. So if it's not giving what it's supposed to give, then let it go.
Hmm.
mhm.
Just like it again, I talked about this a while back, but like rejection and ghosting, like if I mean, there have been guys that I was interested in, and like, we might have kicked it for a little bit, and then it kind of faded out, and I was very disappointed. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna lie, but I'm not gonna chase your ass neither. Like,
And
But
I'm
also,
not
I'm
doing
not
that.
gonna chase a woman to pay her bills either. No, I'm not doing that. Like, I said, I'm a pretty simple guy. Like, I'm not chasing you or getting to know you or pursue you just to to flatter you. No, I'm not gonna do that. Like I said, I'm an old school guy. I take the old school approach. And I said this to you before. You remember back in the day when a dude earned some pussy? Whereas though he sat on your steps and he talked to you. Oh, excuse me. I didn't know your mom. I'm sorry, but you know what I mean. I apologize, mom. I just like to cuss a little bit, but I apologize. But but back in the day, a dude earned something, right? And your mother, who's this guy? Get off my porch. You know what I'm saying? Y'all talked on the phone, y'all caught the bus, a cab, or he had a car, you had a car, and y'all got to know each other, and you fell in like or fell in love with this person. Now it's not like that. The communication is the bare minimum. Everybody wants to text. You can't get to know people through text, and it's just like when you want to have real conversations, nobody is talking about nothing.
Okay, so finish your thought. I think you finished your thought.
Yeah, go ahead, my brother.
Yourself. Wait a minute, Roger. Did you ever introduce yourself to the people? I don't think you introduced yourself. They know you. I know some of them that follow you are on here, but introduce yourself, and then Dwayne, you can introduce yourself.
Oh, Fats. Fasson Couture. That's my brand on there. Follow me. That's the only thing I got to say.
No, you had a lot to say, and I appreciate what you had to add. Okay, so Dwayne, introduce yourself.
Yes. Dwayne, everybody. I'm grateful. This is a good conversation.
Where are you from?
Baltimore. The one and only place to be from.
I see.
My man.
The greatest city in America. That's what it says.
That's right. You talking good.
It's the greatest city. It's the greatest city. You can, I know we like other cities, but it's the greatest city.
Right.
So what do you have to add to this discussion?
This is going to be a lot here. I honestly do not disagree with what you guys have said so far. I think one thing we've got to consider and kind of bring into the forefront is I don't believe that we understand love from a fundamental place. I think that love for a lot of us is staying away from the things that possibly traumatized us early on in life, right? And I'll give you an example. I became a better man because I had mentors in my life because my father wasn't there, right? He passed away when I was 15. I could have used that moment to kind of funnel me in a different direction or a different way. I think that many of us, when it comes to love, we've been in different situations that did not yield or render us what we were actually looking for. So in hindsight, what it did was it put up a wall for us to not experience love at the fundamental place. And so now we bring these criterias in that's like, hey, yo, if you don't have this much money, or if you don't have this, or if you don't do this, and if you don't do that, and hear me, I do not agree with you being attracted to someone. I think Dr. Ari Vernon, who is a pastor, wrote in his 10 Rules of Dating that the number one rule was physical attraction. Now, this is a pastor who wrote this. His second rule was they must love Jesus, right? And I'm a Christian, and you have some Christians that argue this point, but you can't argue it because I want them to love Jesus. So I want them, if you're not, a Christian, you want them to have some point of spiritual background. But the reality of it is before you even get to a spiritual background, you got to be attracted to them. Nope. Ain't no other way around that. You gotta be attracted to them. And so I say that to say, I think we've allowed different things to give us different functionalities where we do not give from that place of love no more. And this is how I know. Back in the day, prior to all us being born, our parents, they loved each other solely off of love, whether right, wrong, or indifferent. We become a generation that's a little bit more technology sound, that's a little bit more knowledge sound, that's a little bit more financially sound, that now we put up all these parameters around love that says, hey, if it's not this, and this, I don't want it. And we do it on both sides. This is not just a one-sided thing. This is both sides doing this. And I think for us to really get to the place where we love from that honest place again, we're gonna have to first stop and say, okay, let me look at society. Let me look at, and not society where I take their advice, but look at like the dynamics of where we are as African American people. I don't care what they do on that side. I care about my people. And when I say that from a place of sincerity, because the first thing I need for us to understand is that Black women, men, they felt unprotected. But on the flip side, Black women, here's the truth. We aren't getting those opportunities in the financial world like we used to unless we still have money from drug dealing or hustling, or unless we are becoming entrepreneurs. So here's where both of us got to sit down and say, Black men, let me understand why they feel unprotected. And then Black women, let me understand why Black men are not getting certain opportunities anymore to provide for their families.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
I
so
think
again,
effective communication is also
For
important.
sure.
oh well,
Effective
always.
communication. No, I mean, because a lot of us, we speak about communication, but anybody can communicate and just talk, but effective communication, are we getting through to each other? And one point I want to make, I think that a lot of people don't know how to differentiate characteristics from character. Although us men and women share the same characteristics, but character is individualized, and a lot of people don't know how to differentiate that. And the brother says something about money. It's like nowadays everything is about money. Of course, and when you meet people, the scales are always going to be imbalanced. The woman may make more, the man may make more. Okay, that's financial. We got past that part. You know what I'm saying? Because it's never really going to be equality when it comes to that part. But so where do we go from there? How do we effectively communicate with each other, and
Well,
how do we get to know each other?
wait, hold on. Let me chime in just on that one point. So I understand, like I said, I think like when I'm looking at somebody I'm interested in, I'm looking at various aspects of who he is as a man. So not just his finances, because there's a lot of, wealthy assholes, right? Um and because he has money doesn't mean that he's gonna like give it to me either. Because a lot of sheesh. But anyway,
Having money and being a good
hold
person is
on.
two different
Let me
things.
finish. Wait a minute. Let me finish. um, but I do think that like I'm not a child either.
Mhm.
So no, he does not have to be rich. I want him to be stable, because why would I invite struggle into my life? Like, no, that's not like the first parameter I'm looking at, but I just at this point in my life, I'm just not, I don't like, why would I invite that into my life? Now, what's going on in his life? Did he lose a job? Like, was he working? Is he working towards something? Like, so it's not just necessarily looking at him in this one moment and saying like, get somebody else to do it. Which is one of my favorite sayings, but it is saying like what is going on in his life, and is he trying to improve the situation? Because if he's content, to be in that state, then get somebody else to do
Can I
it.
ask you a question, Stacey? Can I ask you a
Yes,
question?
yes.
All right, so we often talk about stability, right? And when people talk about stability, the first thing that comes to their mind is finances. Finances is not the only stable thing that goes on a person. Is this person stable mentally? Is this person stable spiritually? Is this person stable financially? It's a whole variety of things that
Hold on. But you were talking about finances, which is why I
no, but
mentioned
no,
in
no, no,
that
no, no,
moment.
no, no. I wasn't challenging you. I was just asking you, because when we talk about stability, that's the first thing that people, their go-to thing, men and women, they talk about finances. Like, if let's just say this, let's just say if we met a person, right? and we didn't know what this person did. They didn't know what we did, right? And we started the conversation just naturally, right? Where would we go? Where would this relationship go if we both didn't know what each other did? We just know that each other got up early in the morning and went somewhere. Y'all don't live together, but they went somewhere, and y'all never discussed job titles, right? What questions would we ask this person other than, you know what I'm saying, about their finances? What would we want to know about this person?
But that's not even one of the first things that, like, I think it's natural for a conversation about what you do for a living to come up. I
No,
think
that's
people
cool.
get, I think, no, but the thing is, sometimes I think people get offended by that question. And I'm
Hmm.
like, the only reason why that question would offend you is because you're not doing shit.
Well, you
Or
said
because
something.
or because you think that somebody's going to look at you and value you less based on what it is that you
But
do
that's the
for a living.
problem. People do that though. That's
But
that's
You're
see,
right.
that's that's the problem.
You're
she
right. Some
said,
people do.
mhm,
You're right. Some people do that, but I don't base whether I think a man is worthwhile on
on what he
his
just.
wallet. I
But you
base
already
it
said that.
on.
You
What's
already
that?
said that though. You already said that.
Okay.
You said something. You said something, King, that I thought was very, 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 very good. And you said, "Hey, I'm not. I want stability, but I know how to look for that stability, right?" And so I love that because here's what you are not saying. You're not sitting up and saying, "Hey, I want this dude," and hear me. And I think this is so fair. You're not saying, "Hey, I want this dude to come in and just pay every bill," right? Hear me. I think that most men, when they meet the right woman, I know. I think that most men, when they meet the right woman, if they're in a predicament to do that, they will and they would with love and with gratitude. However, I love what you said. You said, "Hey, I'm checking for stability," meaning like I'm checking to see where he is. And you said something else so good. And you said, "But if he is honest." Now, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm a defender of my brethren. I am. But I also challenge my brethren as well because I know it's so much good in us that we can do, and the world hasn't really projected that well. But I will challenge us here. I think that, brethren, don't have a serious conversation with every woman that you meet. But the woman that you feel like you really want to grow with, you're gonna have to be vulnerable with her. And that's
I like that. I like that. I like that
and
word.
I'm gonna be honest, bro, because I'm just talking about my life. I remember I was in a season where I was going through a transition in my work, and some people feel like, hey, you shouldn't date, and kind of wasn't, kind of was, and I messed around and got into a relationship. And I want you to hear what my ex told me. She said, "Hey, you know why I never judged you for where you were? Because I saw you get up and work your potential." And I think for most women, it's not necessarily they hanging up at the financial place. What they're saying is, I want some stability, and I need to actually see that it is not just talk, but it is action. And guess what? You won't even have to tell them it's action. They're gonna see how you get up and move and know it's action and go, you know what? He may not have everything. And guess what? Right now, he's not there. But when we go to dinner, I'm gonna slide him my card because I'm gonna make sure that he knows that I see what he's doing, and at the end of the day, like I'm with him because I see who he is. Our number one problem is men where we kind of go wrong is we don't have the upfront conversation about where we are, and I think that's what deters women. And if we had that vulnerable conversation, like, look, I'm feeling you. This is where I'm at. This was going on. This is what my background looked like. This is what you might hear about me. You know what I mean? If we have that conversation, don't have that with every woman, have that with the woman that you really feeling, then you give her a chance to say, okay, this Negro been honest. So I ought to give him a chance because he's been vulnerable with
Well,
me.
he should feel okay being vulnerable if he knows that she feels the same.
For sure.
He should not be
For sure.
vulnerable with
For
somebody
sure.
who's going to be like, get
Absolutely not.
somebody else to do
Yeah,
it. Like,
yeah, yeah. Or this gonna be just a little quick situation or a
but
situation or
but the
yeah.
thing is, so here's where I feel like I and I can't speak for, this in the reverse. But here's where I feel like some men go wrong is that because you like somebody, you automatically assume, even if like, you know, they're entertaining you, that their level of interest is the same.
I
And
think all people go wrong. I got that same story. I
well,
think,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
saying, but
yeah.
you know, because I'm speaking from the perspective of
Of a
dating
woman,
a
yeah,
man,
yeah, right.
and like for me, because I traditionally have had difficulty, like I think it's mean, but really it's just being honest to tell somebody if you don't necessarily feel the same as they do. And
Are,
so
are you saying you got
so I'll just go missing.
demonized? Are you saying you got demonized for telling someone that you weren't
No,
interested in them and they
not demonized, but you know, it's very like I don't know. I just
But no. This is just my understanding. Like, no one person has all the qualities that you look for.
no,
They
I
have the
said that
main
earlier.
qualities. They have the main qualities. Like I said, you know, you was just saying, brother, about being vulnerable, right? I think that a good percentage of men should be vulnerable to their woman, right? But the woman has to make the climate, the environment comfortable so a man can be vulnerable. And a lot of times, I think in certain situations, some women don't make the environment or the climate comfortable for a man to be vulnerable, because as soon as he becomes vulnerable, as soon as he spills his heart and he tells you his life, as soon as a a level of turbulence comes in, now you want to throw back everything that he sat there and he told you with his vulnerable heart. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why a lot of men sometimes they're cautious about being vulnerable, towards women. I mean,
mm,
that's just my take. Like I
Yeah,
said,
I think
it's about.
most. I think the thing is I think that most men are fearful of that because to your point, they're concerned that she's going to throw it back at them, you know, in a moment of anger.
oh
Um,
yes.
but also and then like use it against him in some way. And every woman doesn't necessarily receive it as like, you know, this man really loves me because
Mhm.
he's willing to open up to me and show me like, you know, the crumbs of him, right? Somebody else used that on another live I did, and I thought it was a
Can I
good
ask you a
analogy.
question?
But hold on, let me finish, please. Cause you're making me lose my train of thought. Damn you.
No, I mean, my
Wait
bad. I
a minute. Wait,
apologize.
though. Wait. Um, damn it, man. You made me lose my train of thought. I'm gonna fight you. Go ahead now.
Do you have the patience to deal with a man who's broken?
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. So hold that. Okay. I I feel like some men perceive it as weakness. Rather, some women perceive it as weakness for a man to show that vulnerability and they get turned off. Um, so it's tricky, I think, for men, and so I can appreciate why they find it difficult um
To
to
share.
be their 100% authentic
Hmm.
human
Hmm.
emotional
Facts.
selves. Like, I want you to be able to express emotions. I don't want you to repress it because then it's going to come out in some other way. Anger, aggression, um you, you know, maybe you develop a vice, drinking, drugs, whatever it is. You're going to have to take that frustration out somewhere. but
Mm.
but also I want to be able to look to you and say like I want a man that's willing to be or that's willing to be vulnerable with me, but also I don't want to feel like you're going to fold under pressure all the time either. Like you just can never handle no pressure, because how am I how are you leading me, right? and and you're always crumbling under the pressure like that.
It's
I don't know.
vulnerability. It's
Maybe that sounds
vulnerability.
harsh, but
No,
I'm
no,
just
no.
telling you, like in the back of my mind, that's
Is
probably
vulnerability
the way I'm
crumbling?
programmed.
Is vulnerability crumbling under pressure?
No, not
Okay.
if it's not if it's like a constant thing, then I'm gonna be like, nah, this ain't
If what
this ain't
is a
it.
constant thing? If what is a constant thing?
If you like not
Bro, you see
vulnerable,
why
are
I'm
you
asking
talking
these
about
questions,
Yeah,
me
bro?
yeah,
crying all the time?
definitely.
Like,
I
I
see.
don't
Yeah, I
know.
see why
You
you answer these questions.
you see why I'm asking these
Yeah,
questions?
yeah, I
And
definitely see why you answering the
and
questions.
and the reason why I'm asking these questions is because when it comes to this love thing, man, I'm gonna be honest. And my pastor said this one time. He says, "You know what everybody fighting for?" He said, "Everybody is fighting to prove that they've been raised right." And I'm gonna say something behind that comment. I think for us to really experience love, sometimes we have to erase what we've been taught and do it the way that we feel as though it's best for us.
The
Because
unconventional way.
yeah, because what's gonna happen is if we live off of, well, my dad and mom, they did it like this, and then my did it like this, and they did it like this. What it doesn't do is it doesn't leave room for us to create our story. I'll say this last thing. A person asked me, they was like, what celebrity couple do you want to be like? And I was like, none. Because I don't know what they've gone through, why they've gone through it, what made them go through it. And so I don't want to be like any of them. What I want to do is write my own story the way that I feel as though it's best for me and my future lady, right? And so I think the problem with a lot of us is we hold these measures. It's the same measures that we do to men. We like men who cry. You soft. No, I'm crying because my goddamn homeboy died. Like I'm crying because that joint that hurt me. That took me down. That don't mean I'm a punk. That don't mean that I'm weak. That just means like I'm having an emotional moment. That's a natural reaction. And we
Of
taught this.
course.
And we taught this stuff in households. We told men don't be vulnerable, and we told men that the art of a real man was being silent. No, the art of a real man is speaking. MLK, he spoke. We can discuss his background at a later time. I don't care what none of y'all want to say about his background. I don't care about that. He spoke. He let us black people out of a piece of this country that was trying to suppress us. Malcolm X, he spoke. So this theory that a real man is a real man because he quiet and he laid
No.
back. No. I'm not saying you said that. No. I'm not saying that you said that.
Mm-mm.
I'm hear me. I'm definitely not saying you said that. All I'm saying is when you brought up the question of, when I brought up the question of like why you brought that up,
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability was at the seat of that. And what I didn't want a man to feel like, or want woman, or want the women to feel like, is that hey, a man being vulnerable with you means that he can't lead. Because I think there's a way to compartmentalize this.
I
Yes, go ahead.
I don't think that that's true. I was saying more, and yes, it is probably to do with the way I was
Raise.
socialized. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna just blame it on my mom.
And
Hold on, let me talk
no,
because when you're talking to, hold
no, I'm
on,
listening.
hey, but you can't talk in the
No,
background
I didn't
because it's
say anything. I'm listening. I'm listening to you.
okay. All right, thank you. I appreciate your input. All I'm saying is because everybody's mic is open when you do that, it just sounds like when you watch it later, it's just gonna sound like you can't hear. Anyway, that's all. What I'm saying is I'm not mad at vulnerability. Not mad at it, but like I don't I'm not saying you can't cry. Of course, I would expect you to cry, over certain things. I don't want you to not be able to express emotions. I just said if you don't express them, then you're repressing them, and they're going to come out in other ways that are unproductive and negative, right?
You did.
Um, However, like, would you? So let me ask you this in reverse. Would you want to deal with a woman who couldn't regulate her emotions? Like, she's constantly crying anytime something is going wrong in her life. Would you want to deal with that? Because
You see,
I
you see,
don't.
I put the camera on because I feel like,
Exactly. So
you
my
know why I
point
did
is
that?
that
No, no,
I'm
no.
not saying that a man can't cry. I'm
Yeah,
not saying that a man can't express, vulnerability. I'm not saying that.
you said not all the time.
I'm saying that you have to have um yes, you should be able to come to me and talk to me about what you're going through and what you're dealing with. Some things might be beyond what I can manage, and maybe it's helpful to talk to a therapist. Roderick, I know how you feel about that. Or talk to your pastor, or talk to your homeboys, or whatever it is. Um, I, I think that I I don't think that you can, again, I don't think every situation can be like you're folding under pressure, because nobody can do
Right,
that. Because how do you function
right,
that way?
right.
So so it's not a matter of me saying that a man is not man enough if he can't like regulate his emotions. It's that sometimes, like, you can't, like, I know it's gonna sound fucked up, but I'm just saying, like, everything can't be you like melting
I
into a
know what,
puddle of
listen, I know
tears.
what you're
Like,
saying. I
come
know what you're
on,
saying.
sir.
For the sake of the live, I know what you're saying, but for the sake of the live, I wanted you to explain it because, people don't know how to break stuff down, compartmentalize it, and be like, this is what she actually saying. So they'll
I
take,
need another woman
yeah,
on here
you
now.
do, you
I'm
do,
under
you do.
attack. I'm under attack.
No, 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 no. I'm not. Listen. I'm neutral because I really want black people to be in love and make this thing happen. Because I feel like we're really great. Unfortunately, I feel like we're struggling because there's so many things at play. But please get another woman on here. What happened to Pink?
It looked like she was talking to somebody. She said she was coming from the gym.
Okay,
But I
okay.
actually have a couple of other people that are wanting to join. I appreciate you guys and your input and your feedback, um and always very
You
insightful.
still didn't answer my question, though.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. What was your question again?
I said, if you recognize a broken man, are you patient enough to deal with him?
Mm, give us your honest answer.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to what I've said on other lives, right? I am by no means an expert. However, I have been in therapy now for a while. And I feel like when I say that, sometimes people are like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong is nothing. I mean, there's lots of things wrong, right? But everybody could use therapy. It's not because I have some kind of psychological issue. It's because I'm trying to understand myself, and I've explained this before. Understand why I respond to things in a certain way. Find more productive ways to manage how I deal with certain situations. Understand why, I might um deal with certain types of men, and perhaps identify where I might be um I'm dating, the same type of man but in a different package, right? um so there's many benefits of me going to therapy. Now I'm saying that as to preface what I'm about to say, which is I feel like talking to some men, I can see where they have certain tendencies that I know would be problematic if we were in a relationship, because they have issues that they haven't addressed. And so I know it's already going to be a problem early on, because they're not necessary. Number one, because they don't recognize these things as an issue, right? Um, they're not open to the idea of, like, well, this is not this is not anything
Right,
issue, but they're
right.
not open. Not, but the thing is, you're a good communicator. They're not open to, the idea that maybe the problem is you. Like, they're not open to acknowledging their own um um issues, challenges, whatever. And so in that case, I'm not here to try to fix you. Like, I'm not saying you got to come to me whole, but be working on yourself. Like, I'm not here to fix you. We should be working on ourselves individually, right? Because once again, you're never going to find somebody who's perfect. But don't come to me with your mess and say, fix me. Well, why is that my job? Why can't you go see a therapist? Why can't you go talk to a pastor? Why do I have to fix you? Why are you not working on yourself? It's not up to somebody else to do that. It's up to you. And then we come
I don't think the
together
man is
and
asking you to fix him. I don't think the man is asking you to fix him
no, but you
because
did.
as men, no,
But you
no,
did
listen,
though.
listen. I said, listen. I said, I don't think he's
A
asking you to
broken
fix him.
man. Am I
No,
willing to
listen,
deal with a broken man?
listen. Because at the same time, us as men, we meet 1,000 broken women, and we have patience to actually understand what she's going through. Most women,
You?
they see a broken. Yeah, most men meet broken women, and women coming from some of the craziest backgrounds, and we're patient enough, and we deal with them. But soon as a woman sees some type of unstableness or brokenness in the man, it's a long list of things that you just named. He needs to go to see a therapist. He needs to do. He needs to do that. But at the same time,
What's
no,
wrong
hold
with
on. No. Listen. Let me finish. We're
a woman
willing to.
to be addressing her
No,
shit
listen.
too?
No,
A
listen.
woman needs to be addressing her shit too.
No. I get that, but we're willing to deal with that, and we're patient enough to deal with that. But when the roles are reversed, women, some women, I'm not saying all women, will have a whole list of things that you need to do. I'm gonna say this one more thing, and I'm gone. You speak a lot about tradition, right? You spoke about tradition, and the brother said something about tradition and us moving away from tradition, right? Tradition, in a lot of senses, have failed us because we all want to model our relationship behavior behind somebody, whether it's a celebrity or our grandmother, our grandfather, right? We all want to model that. Oh, my grandfather and my grandmother been together for 40 years, but who's to say that that 40 years was perfect? Grandpa might have messed up 15 of the 40 that they was together, or 30 of the 40 that they was together. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know what went on in those relationships. We just want to model those things. I think that, like the brother said, when we come into our own relationships, we have to set our own standards and our own bars of what's going to go on in our relationship and how we're going to run our relationships.
I agree with you. I don't think again, I know because the conversation has gone off on a tangent from the social media piece. But social media, I think, has again, or I think that people look at social media and couples that they see on social media and um representations of relationships that they see on social media, the idealized, you know, perfect, beautiful couple on vacation in their matching outfits. And, and then they say, well, I want my relationship to look like that. I like, okay, that's nice. Like, I'll like your pictures and that's nice. And if people seem like happy, wonderful. But I'm not like basing what I want for myself off of that. I I want, like, I know what I want. And I don't feel like it's based off of what I've seen, on social media. I don't think so. I think whatever standards I have set for myself are the standards I've set for myself. Yes.
My last statement, and then I'm gone because I'm starving. Uh,
Yeah, I need
you
to
know,
I
wrap anyway.
appreciated that.
yeah. I'll be honest with you. I do, and I like what you said. Hey, you're not a person that looks at social media, right? But unfortunately,
Well, I
uh,
I do. I look at
well,
it because
no,
I'm
no.
on here,
What
but
I mean, you don't let that become the persuasiveness of how you move in relationships. I want to bring this point to light that is, I think, very interesting to really understand. One, what me and you may do because of where our mentality is, and even some of the people in the comments where their mentality is and what they won't do, is not the masses or the majority. And so I see people, writing comments and they're like, no, that's not them. No, that's not you. Because one of the things I always try to convince people of is You can't tell me, a person who's dated a lot of people, what's out there if you haven't done that, right? Especially if you don't date women, right? If you don't date women, you can't tell a man what he's encountering, especially when he's not looking for that. What he comes across and what he chooses to stay with is two different things. And so I say this, and I'll leave it here. One of the things that I realized is there's a lot of double standards across the board. There's double standards on men's side. There's double standards on women's sides. And I think in order for us to be healthy and making a relationship, because I'm not even persuaded by some of the men who talk in this chat tonight, because some people love capping and showing off for women, and I'm gonna just give it to you 100, whether you like it or not, whether you like me or not. I don't really care. The reality of it is that there's double standards on both sides, right? And we as men need to be accountable, and we as women need to be accountable. And I think in order for us to really heal and be accountable, we've got to be honest about where we are, what's going on with us, and how that's going on with us. Time out for all of that. Oh, they did this or they did that. We got to address what's going on with us, and then find the person that we can work with. It's not a competitiveness. I'll leave you with this, because I do preach in the church, because I am a pastor, and the reality of it is God's intention for relationship was never about who can do what. It was about teamwork. It was about togetherness. Michael Jordan,
Makes the dream work.
it makes the dream work. Michael Jordan can't win rings if he doesn't have Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman. Kobe Bryant can't win rings if he don't have Shaquille O'Neal, Paul Gasol, and Ron Artest, Derek Fisher, Robert Ory. He don't win, because no one person can ever win a game by themselves. They can score a lot of points, but they can never win the game by themselves. I think part of our issue is we've got to start looking at how we be a team versus who got the pants, who wear them, who don't, who this. And it's not really about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I also think that we're definitely not meant to go through life alone. We should be,
Not at all. Not at all.
looking to partner, ideally. I mean, everybody's version of what partnership looks like is different, and people
Absolutely.
need to do what works for them instead of looking at what's happening on social media and in other people's relationships, and basing what that little snippet of whatever they're willing to share with you, like using that as sort of the guiding light of, well, I'm gonna
And it's
model
just a
my
moment.
relationship.
Yep.
But again, I'm not like, well, that relationship looks good, because one minute you're thinking, the relationship is solid, and the next thing they're breaking up. So
Absolutely.
anyway,
Devon Franklin, Megan Good was that example, right? Everybody was
I mean,
like,
there's a whole bunch of
yeah,
examples, but you know what? So we've been talking a long time. I want to wrap up, because
let's
I
go.
do try to, I try to keep it brief. I appreciate all of your input and insight. Just really quickly, Earn and Rome, I'll give you 5 minutes. 9:30 is my cutoff, so I'm gonna
I'm
add
out.
them. But I
Thank you.
appreciate
I
you, Dwayne.
appreciate you for having me. Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right, so I'm just adding 2 more people, and I'm gonna give it like a few more minutes. I wish I had another woman on here with me. Hello,
Hey, what's good?
how you
I'm
doing?
chilling. I'm chilling.
All right, so you got 4 minutes. I just added. Hello.
Hey,
Hi. Introduce yourself really quickly. Sorry, I can only have so many people on at a time, and y'all, the men's has been talking. So,
so good to see you on board.
so, so I'm gonna give y'all 2 minutes apiece to say your
I'll
piece.
let the brother go ahead
Rome,
first. Now
Nico, and
you
then
go ahead,
Ern.
bro. I mean, sorry, from the conversation I heard, I mean, it's a good topic. But I will say this, men, if you are broken, you got to get help. You got to get help. And I also see that we don't communicate. Well, I'll say for me, I'm not going to generalize everybody else, but you got to communicate and you got to get help, because if you don't have that, you're going to run into problems. It's a situation where if you're not honest with yourself, you're going to be in a situation where the other person is not going to be happy, and you're going to run into problems. And I can say that because I'm living through that. I've experienced that. In my last relationship, I did not communicate, and when you touched on that part about being was it strong, or you wanted to be somebody being
I
near.
feel like that was
No,
misinterpreted.
I understood what you were talking about. It's you want to be confident in your man to be like, yo, damn, if something's going on, I want to look at you knowing that you got this, and you don't want to be be in a certain space. So I think that's what you were probably.
Okay, so yes, but I don't expect him to be Superman.
Right.
He's a human being.
Right.
So I expect him to feel sad sometimes, or go through the same kinds of emotions that I go through. And yes, society has conditioned us that, men shouldn't display those kinds of emotions, because it's not manly. And so again, because of the way we're socialized, I think that's something that I myself would have to overcome. And not because I'm not bothered seeing a man cry. It's endearing to me, but it also depends on the situation. My point was, you cannot go around like folding under pressure all the time. So if I feel like, there's a difference between being vulnerable, right? Being open to me and letting me know that you're going through something and you're having a hard time dealing with it and whatever, versus like you just can't handle, you can't handle any kind of pressure.
Yeah.
How am I going to look to you as the lead in the head and you folding under pressure all the time? Nah, that don't work. Like, I can't. And that doesn't make me feel like, ooh, well, now I want to be soft and feminine. That makes me feel like I want to be an RN.
Right.
I'm just saying. Anyway, so I appreciate that though. But Ern, if you want to share your
Hi,
thoughts.
my name is Ernest, and I literally only pushed the button when you were having that conversation about that point, because I got what you were saying. So originally, I didn't realize my request was still out there, but I really got what you were saying. You were just pointing out that, if a person, it's important that whoever you're with, you're able to be vulnerable with them. But you did make your point that that doesn't necessarily translate into someone who's not able to cope and manage things, right? You don't want to necessarily have, like he asked you about the broken person. And I agree 1,000% with what you said. If you're broken, man or woman, if you're not trying to help yourself, there's no way there's no way that's going to work. And I think the point is, can't nobody, you can only control you. And half the time we can't control our own selves in some ways either, but we certainly can't control or fix another person. And so I think then the brokenness piece, you answered it perfectly. And I would have just, don't worry about qualifying the answer. If the person is trying to help fix themselves, and if our brokenness together doesn't cause too many problems, then yeah, of course we'll work together, right? But there's a bunch of ifs. And the last thing I'll say, because I know we're at the 9:30. I do think that it's important that if we're ever going to communicate as a community or as men and women, and I just say this for the guys in particular, but the women too, we've got to learn how to communicate from our personal experience and stop with the generalizations. I made that comment in the post. It was like, well, and women, they don't respect, and I'm like, but there's a bunch of men you have in your life who do have a woman that listens to them and who does those things. And so if your experiences are just that, and then you've got 3 other guys telling you that they have a mixed bag, or maybe I come in and I say, I've never experienced that with a woman, and I've dated a lot of women or whatever, then we should synthesize all of our experiences together and recognize with 50 million Black people in this country, there's no one generalization. You have no stats to prove any generalization that you throw out. So we should start talking about it from our own experiences. So I was commenting in the comments to some of the brothers to say, look, let's not make this about men this and women that and both sides. It's like, no, it's if somebody's an asshole, they asshole, man or woman or non-binary, right? But the point is, we should just like try to talk from our experience. I experienced this hurt from a woman. And most of the time when you do that, most women or most men, if you say I experienced this hurt from a man, most men will say that's messed up. That shouldn't have happened to you. Most women will say that shouldn't have happened to you. And let me tell you how I dealt with it. Or, oh, damn, you know what? I never heard my ex when she told me that what I did hurt her, but I heard you. And now I realize, man, I shouldn't do that. That's how when we personalize it, that's how we can hear each other better. But the minute you say women are this, then of course the women are going to say that's not how we are. So we got to start talking more individually and not just generalizing. And I can say I think the men do that way more. But let's not make it a competition. I just want us all to pay attention to that. That's one of the frustrations about the conversation. But despite that, it was a good conversation,
Well,
and I appreciate that.
I would say that is true, because Intelligent Hoodlum made the point. I know. Intelligent Hoodlum made the point that the conversation had veered away from the whole
Yeah,
social media piece of it. But what is true is that on social media, and this will be, one of
way to
my
bring it
final
home.
thoughts,
Yeah,
is that there is a lot of generalizing on social media. Hence the reason why there's so much division, especially in our
yeah.
community. Like maybe because my timeline is full of us,
Hmm.
that I'm not only, but predominantly, right? That I see more of that between us than necessarily, in other ethnic groups. And I hate that for us. Like it does seem like we are we're so divided, for whatever reason. And that's also why it makes, you know, dating and mating and relating and hard.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. And we
It
can,
makes
we
it
can, yeah, we
it,
can
it,
ill
it
afford
makes
it.
it more
Yeah,
challenging.
we can ill afford it. I mean, even if they have a manosphere over there too, but we can't afford it. We have to be together as best we can. So, I think you do a good job of trying to focus all of us on not talking in generalizations, and I think we can help each other do that too.
I agree. And so with that said, thank you both for joining for the 2-3 minutes I gave
Right.
you extra. I know time to
Wrap
wrap it up.
it. But I'm
Um,
see you.
so so see y'all. Bye.
All
Thank
right.
you. Um, okay, so
How do
see yourself
we?
out.
How do we? How
I
do you
think
go out? I'm not set.
one day I'm gonna figure out how to get y'all up out of
Uh.
here.
Anyway,
There
I'll
should be
just.
a
How
little
about I?
X on the screen.
Is there? Oh wait. Yeah.
See?
Yes.
Bye bye. Okay. So yes, we went off on a tangent, I will admit, and it went a little long, but I think it was a good conversation. So anyway, I appreciate y'all for, hanging on. Love you long time. And I won't see you next Wednesday. I will see you the following Wednesday after that. So peace, two fingers.